Hello and welcome to Pull Yourself to Pieces, the podcast. Today, Ray, in the studio, we have a special guest with us.
Who, Bill? Who's with us, Bill?
We have a special guest with us, Ray.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, anyway, our
Who's with
guest
us, Bill?
is a former congressman in the House of Representatives. He is a former radio talk show host. He was a 2020 Republican presidential candidate. He is currently the host of a podcast called White Flag, which I'm looking forward to talk about. And he is the author of a book called F Silence. Just to name some of his many accomplishments. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Pull Yourself to Pieces, Joe Walsh. Yeah.
Hey.
Hey guys, it's great to be with you. I promise, Ray, I will watch my language.
Oh, that's fine, Joe. It's all good. We're all adults here, and our three listeners really don't mind if we curse once in a while, so it's okay. We haven't had any complaints yet.
No, we haven't had any comments.
No, nobody leaves a comment. We have no idea if we're making people happy, if we make them sad, suicidal. We have no idea.
You're making a difference. Period.
I hope so. I hope we brighten somebody's day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, right. Joe, if I can call you Joe,
yes.
I'm sure the burning question on everyone's mind at this point in time is, can you play guitar?
Ray, you got to ask him if his Maserati does 185. That's what you got.
Here's the thing, guys. I was actually the poorest member of Congress. If I had $1 for every time somebody asked me that,
right,
I'd be rich. Hey, here's the funny thing, Ray. No, yeah. I like Joe Walsh's music. I don't know how to play an instrument.
Right. All right. Just curious, because I mean, what would be the odds if two guys named Joe Walsh play guitar? I mean, that would be phenomenal. Yeah, that would be phenomenal. So,
I'm a fan of his.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, the guy's incredible. So you are the fifth of 9 kids.
Big old family.
Yeah.
9 kids. So Irish Catholic?
Both, man. Both.
Irish, yeah.
9 kids. My mom and dad had sex 9 times.
I was going to say, they probably didn't get out of the house much, huh? No. So, yeah. And obviously they were very much in love. So yeah, what is that like growing up? I mean, me, Billy, and our sister that we don't speak about, there was just 3 of us, so I can't imagine having like 6 more kids floating around.
Yeah, Joe, are you in the middle of those?
So I was, that's why I'm screwed up. So I was number 5 and 9, and also of the 9, 7 of us are boys. 7 out of 9 boys.
Wow. Yeah.
Look, I'll be honest. It sucked growing up.
Yeah,
you didn't get enough of mom and dad.
Right.
You'd be lucky if you ate every night. But now, as adults, it's cool having that many siblings.
Oh, yeah. I bet. Yeah, and we're talking about.
I'm not gonna paint a rosy picture. It kind of sucked growing up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
Especially in Chicago, that must have been tough, right?
Yes. And well. I like to say I'm from Chicago, but I grew up in the suburbs, so I'm not a real Chicago guy.
Got you. Yeah, well, kind of like me and Billy, we grew up on Long Island, so we kind of grew up in the country, not so much Manhattan or Brooklyn. So,
even though we both were born in Brooklyn.
Yeah, even though we were both born in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So, but back then, when you guys were born in Brooklyn, you were like on a farm in Brooklyn, right? Wasn't that like farm country? So long ago?
No, it wasn't. No, we're not that old, Joe. Come on.
Actually, Joe, I think, is right in the middle of our ages, Ray. He's a couple years younger than you. He's just a couple years older than me. So it's like, right?
Yeah. It's a cool time to be alive. Like I always thought I wanted to be 30 or 40 for the rest of my life. I like this age.
Yeah. Growing old has actually been pretty good. I can't complain. I really can't.
I could complain, but that's
Billy
a whole
can
nother
complain.
show.
He complains. Billy complains a lot.
I've been complaining for 60 years almost, so I'm 59. I'm going to be 59 next week.
On a personal note, you share a birthday with my first wife. She was born on December 27th too, and she always complained about that because she never got any good presents because all the presents came out on Christmas, and by the time 2 days passed and she was supposed to get her birthday present, she always got skunked. Did you ever feel that way?
I was forgotten every freaking year.
Oh, Jesus, Joe, that's too bad. That's
Oh,
Every
really?
year, every year.
that's
Everybody
too bad.
forgot the birthday. And by the way, Ray, I'm sorry about that. I share a birthday with your first wife. I apologize.
It's all right. I don't hold it against you, brother. I don't hold it against you. All right. This is interesting. In the mid '80s, you pursued an acting career,
Very interesting.
which is awesome because Billy's a filmmaker and he went to film school. So
Yeah.
you were part
Yeah.
of the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute. What was that like?
I loved it. I've always enjoyed being in front of people,
Yeah.
performing and or educating. I was also a teacher for a number of years. I studied acting for a while, but I was lazy back then, so I never really sunk my teeth into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is, your geographical where you are on the map is going to really decide whether or not you're going to make it in acting. If you're not
Totally.
on the East Coast, or if you're not on the West Coast, and if you're not in some kind of major city, you're just going to be doing, dinner theater at that point. It's really going to be tough to break in and have a real career in film. But hey, kudos for giving it a shot. Not everybody has the guts to get up and do stuff like that.
It was fun to learn the craft. I also, and we're all kind of peers of, Chicago back then still is, but back then, man, a huge, great theater city.
Sure.
Oh
Right.
yeah, right.
Yep.
Cranked
Second
out
City.
a lot of great
Yes.
actors. Second
Yep.
City,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's true.
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you were a social worker. That says a lot about your character. Not too
Definitely.
many people go into that line of work.
Well, Ray,
So
I've
what was-
always been driven by money. I've always wanted to make a lot of money. So I thought if I
No,
became-
really?
Yeah, that's why I got into social work. Um,
Bad
No.
choice, buddy. I could have told you something else, but
my wife now, my second wife, the love of my life.
uh-huh.
We were
She
talking
must
about
be in
this
the room.
No, she's not. We were talking about this last night because you guys know, some guys are driven by money. I've never been driven by money. I wish I had that gene, but I've just always been driven by cause kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, same here. I'm a working stiff. I've been working all my life. I work for myself. I've had a few businesses. Billy's his career is diverse at best.
Oh yeah.
But
True.
yeah,
I'm on my third career. That's why, because I'm like
I've
I
never
changed-
been
changed
motivated by money. It is what it is. You try and live comfortably. That's about it.
I'm
So
on my third or fourth career. I'm trying to be a conservative who hates Trump. So I'm trying to find the job for that. It's not easy.
You're like trying to find Bigfoot, my friend. And you're not very popular with the conservatives, and that's obvious. But you jump in the gun. So I want to say that. So you were active in limiting government, which
So
I
I've
think is
always-
a great thing.
Yeah. So look, I've and I got it from my mom. I've always loved politics. I've always loved policy. I've always wanted to make a difference. So I got into teaching. I taught in the inner city in Chicago for a number of years. Did a lot of social work. I went to the University of Chicago, got a master's in public policy because I really wanted to study and figure out why the urban poor is poor and how we can help white, black, and brown folks get out of poverty. So
Yeah.
that kind of drove everything I've done, and I've also just loved politics too.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And that was before 96, right?
So yeah, that was all before
Okay.
96. Then I first ran for Congress in 96. I didn't have a shot. I lived in a really Democratic area, but
Sure.
I ran against a guy who was at the time 87 years old. He'd been in Congress since the 40s,
Wow.
and he never came back. The guy didn't even come back home, and that just pissed me off. So I ran on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Term limits, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Term limits. Yeah,
Hell yeah.
You're
Hell yeah.
exactly right. This way, you're out with the dead wood, in with the new stuff.
We had fun, guys, in that campaign. Again, I didn't have a prayer, But this guy never came back home. So during the campaign, we offered $5,000 to the first person who could see him in the district. Just physically see him.
That is great.
His doorman. We ended up giving a $5,000 check to his doorman.
I love that. Oh
that's
my gosh.
that's pretty cool. That's like winning a little lotto.
Well, you guys know, no matter what you do, you got to kind of try to have fun at it.
Oh gosh, yes, that's how I live my life.
Exactly.
that's how I live my life. I gotta have fun at it. So, Tea Party member, what was that like?
Booyah! Still, Ray and Bill, I'm a proud Tea Partier. Look,
explain this to us. What are the key? No. Seriously, for those out there who don't know what the Tea Party stand for, fill us in.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a problem with that too, Ray, because not to make it really quick, is that there's a lot of misunderstanding and the media manipulating what Tea Party really was and how it was. You agree with me, Joe, on that? I mean,
completely. Which is why, because the movement, the Tea Party movement, got me elected, and I was a part of it. I'm writing a book on it because people on the left and the right, nobody really understands it.
Yep,
exactly. And basically, to me, it was all about this. This is why I ran in 2010. The government's too damn big. We're bankrupting future generations. We were like 11 trillion in debt back then. Wow. And we got to stop spending all this money and pay our bills. So that was kind of the driving impulse behind the Tea Party. There were some other pieces to it that weren't the prettiest, but that was it. And that's what caused me to run for Congress. And I went there pissed off at Republicans and Democrats for spending all this money and putting us in so much debt.
Bravo. I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously, I can't imagine anybody hearing what you just said and not agreeing with you. It doesn't make any sense.
That's the problem. It's people don't see it. Even as he explains it so eloquently that way, some people just don't see it.
You're right.
They're immediately going to think you're attacking certain something, or they're going to take away certain something that they don't want to be changed or touched, or you know what I mean.
You're right. Well, you're both right, because in a nutshell, that's what it was. But to be fair, there were uglier aspects of the Tea Party that the media, to be fair, is generally left of center. Except for Fox News.
True.
And they jumped on some of the uglier aspects of the Tea Party.
Yep.
All right. So you were in the Illinois House of Representatives between 2011 and 2013. Those were the Obama years. What was that like?
I felt, so I was in Congress I got elected in 2010. I served 2 years, and then I got redistricted out of my district. I felt, Ray, like every day I woke up, I grabbed my musket. I grabbed my musket, and I went to war against Obama every day. But I also went to war against like John Boehner. Remember him every day?
Oh, yes.
He was my speaker. Yeah. I mean, it was exhausting. Every day it felt like I was just at war fighting people.
I got to ask you this. Your problem with Obama, was it Obama the man, or was it Obama the Democratic president?
My problem with Obama was generally his policies, but I've admitted publicly that there were times I went over my skis and attacked him personally, and I've genuinely apologized for any of that stuff.
Well, we're gonna get to that later. We're gonna string you up on the cross later, but for right now,
it was, and I deserve to be strung up. But yes, it was generally the policies of him.
Okay, look. Here's the thing about politics, right? There are polar opposites that people are not going to agree on no matter what, and we all know what they are. They're guns, abortion, immigration, social services, separation of church and state. There's a number of things that no matter what, we're never going to agree on. And sometimes there's just no middle ground. And you either have to have an open mind and say, look, I can live with this the way it is. I can't live with this. And here's the thing: we all have to coexist, and that's the problem. It's people aren't willing to coexist anymore because these things are so polarized. And I didn't get involved in politics until 2008. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what GOP stood for. I knew nothing.
Wow.
Because it didn't influence on my life. I owned my own business. I didn't care about politics.
Yeah.
Who was running for president? I don't care. I didn't vote. And
Right.
then I was one of those people that got woke. But and then I was able to figure out, I'm a liberal, but I also have some conservative views on certain things. So I'm, you kind of pick and choose your fights at some point. That's just me personally.
Ray, spot on. And one thing I'll say about Obama, when I went to Congress in 2010, I was the angry young man, and I was at war every day, and I went after Obama every day.
Yeah.
11 years later, Obama, to his credit, he wasn't a socialist, and he wasn't nearly as left wing as a lot of us said back then.
Agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
again, he needed to prove himself, and I think he did. We needed to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I think he did.
And by the way, a great man. And I didn't say that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
A good man.
Sure. He's always seemed, well, I mean, at least on the, what you see him, the public view that we see of him, he seemed like level-headed, which right after the last several years we've had now, a level-headed president just,
was
seems
wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Yeah, level-headed.
Yeah, but the one thing about Obama, and I'll say this I would say this respectfully to his face if I were sitting with him, is the Democrats got a problem, guys. Yeah, the Republican Party sucks, and Trump sucks, and they are a threat to the country. I get all of that. But the Democrats are becoming like this elite kind of woke party, and working class people are really turned off. And Hillary's smart, and Hillary should have beaten Trump, but Hillary doesn't know how to talk to regular folk. Obama never knew how to connect to regular folk. You know who did? Bill Clinton.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Yeah.
That's very true.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
That's very true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Bubba. They loved him. They called him Bubba.
Yeah, but look, Hillary was also demonized by the press for years. I mean, she just didn't seem likable, and the press jumped on that and painted her as this horrible person. I don't know her in person, but I kind of had to weigh that between all the years she spent, doing good for less fortunate people, and so that kind of balanced it out for me when it came to her. All this crap that the liberal media was talking about her and pushing about it. And then you look at her record of how she's been a public servant for decades, and you wonder, well, how do you find middle ground here with this woman? So
here's the problem. Hillary is brilliant, and she's a policy person. And she would have been a better president than a candidate for president. She did not like to be a candidate. When you're a candidate, guys, and I've done a lot of it, you got to be rolling up your sleeves and drinking a beer and hanging out with peeps, and you really got to love people. And Hillary never did.
Yeah, she assumed way too much.
Yeah.
She assumed way too much.
Joe, it must have been, I mean, when you were in Congress, first of all, those term limits, 2 years, right? And then you have to, that's really not much time, is it? They really don't,
to do much.
No, it's really not. And then you also got to recampaign, right, for the next time. So, I mean, I feel like you guys don't get enough time in
that. You're right. In the House, the House, 2-year terms. So the minute you get elected, you're like raising money the next day for your next election.
Wow. And then you had you said it was your district was
district every 10 years.
Yeah.
So then after I won, redistricting came along, and both the Republicans and Democrats in Illinois got together and pretty much drew me out of a district because they both hated me. So I
didn't have a chance.
You didn't have a chance. Yeah, you were
None.
sabotaged.
None.
But yet you've got some interesting things here. You were a balanced budget amendment was something you were following and
Boom.
something you were
Boom.
pushing. Yeah, balanced budget. That's a wonderful thing.
So the first,
yeah, really.
so proud. The first two things I did in Congress was I introduced two bills. One was a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, and the second one was a term limits amendment to the Constitution.
Yeah,
I couldn't find enough people in Congress to go along with me.
I could see the first one not being a problem with everybody, but obviously the second one was those guys didn't want to give up their positions.
Not at all.
They knew what they had, and they also knew how easily they could be bought. I mean, let's be honest. Most of the politicians today, they're bought and paid for by special interests. I mean, it's obvious. It has to be obvious.
On both sides and on all sides.
On both sides.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? At first, I didn't believe that the Democrats could be capable of this, but guess what? You know, I think greed does cross party lines.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I can see if you're trying to make $180,000 a year for being, in-house, and all of a sudden somebody offers you a couple of mil just to look the other way or vote the way we want you to vote. Oh, gee, I'm going to weigh what I want to do here at this point, whether or not I'm going to be a voice of the people or I'm going to be the voice of a special interest group.
Well, and here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. So you get there like I got there, and on day one, you're pretty much told how it works. And your leadership in your party, Boehner and the rest of them, they sit you down and they say, you got to play ball. You got to go along with our team.
Really?
And if you go along with our team, we'll open up all this lobby money to you. And then
my God.
And then you got to be wined and dined by the lobbyists. Because remember, the whole point is you want to keep the gig. You want to stay there.
Wow.
So to stay there, you got to suck. You got to do what your leaders tell you and what the lobbyists tell you.
Thank you for that, Joe. We appreciate you coming out with
Absolutely.
that, because that's
Wow.
something that's never said. I mean, seriously, nobody ever says that.
I was never very good at that.
Thank you. We appreciate that very much.
No, but it's true. It's true. And the reason it's true is, again, it's a cool job to be a congressman, man. It's a head trip.
Yeah.
And you think like you're really important. You don't want to lose that. So you'll suck up to the moneyed people to stay there.
Right.
Well, plus you've got peer pressure at that point too. You're in a club here, and all of a sudden they're pointing fingers and say you have to do what we do, and otherwise you're going to turn out like Serpico, Frank Serpico, and you're going to be bucking the system, and somebody's going to let you get shot in the face. And obviously you have to play that game to sit on that chair for as long as you want. So I get it. It must be tough.
Hey, Ray, I love that reference. I watched Serpico for like the second time in my life 2 weeks ago. What a great movie.
Yeah.
What
right?
Oh, my God.
Amazing. Yeah.
But that's it. So at that time, Boehner and the Republicans, they sit you down and they say, you're part of our team. You need to play ball with us. And Pelosi and the Democrats do the same.
Sure.
And if you want to be a good soldier, you fall in line. I didn't fall in line.
Right.
Yep. You banged your own drum there, Joe. That's I give you credit for that. What I don't understand is why you would deny the possibility of climate change. What possessed you to think that that's not a real thing caused by man?
Well,
I'm just curious.
Yeah, no. And by the way, Ray, great question. And that is an issue that I've kind of gotten up to speed on the last 4 or 5 years. But to answer your question, I think it's complicated. I played the political game that Republicans play too much back then and just deny it.
Right.
Look, here's what I think, Ray. The universe is 13 billion years old. This planet we're on right now is 4.5 billion years old. I think there's so freaking much the climate's been changing for 4.5 billion years. Having said all of that, has man contributed to this latest period we're going through? Yes. And so we got to find reasonable solutions. But I've only gotten there in the last 4 or 5 years talking to different people.
I totally get that. I mean, I totally get that, because when you first hear about it, it kind of doesn't make sense how we people, men, women, have caused this much of a change.
Yeah.
You think, how could we be possible? How is this possible? But if you think that we've been burning fossil fuels for well over 100 years now, and it's global, it's worldwide, that, it's a real change, good possibility that we're responsible for climate change.
Or
What
also,
kills
how about
me,
the fact that how much, the population of the world has grown, even in just our lifetime, guys.
That's true. Yeah.
We're pushing up to what, almost 8 billion coming on now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were all young, the number was maybe 4 billion, 5 billion, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
tremendous growth.
Balance everything you guys are saying, and it's legit what man has done, with the fact that there are really humongous climate and planet factors at play here as well. I mean, when the dinosaurs roamed the planet, the Earth was way hotter than it is now. Not even close. There's these million some year cycles we go through that we don't understand enough about as well. But as humans, we're responsible. We should do something about it.
Agree.
I totally agree. All right. So, you became a talk radio host, and at the time, you were a strong supporter of Mr. Trump. And
no,
he started. You're a little bit off, Ray, because he started in 2013 before Trump.
Yeah. But Ray, you're close. But so I left Congress. I got redistricted out of my district. I went on the radio, and pretty quickly I found myself on the radio all over the country because I'm a conservative and I'm speaking my stuff, the stuff I believe in.
Yeah, sure.
And I was on a path to become the next big thing in conservative talk radio, and then Trump comes along. Now, on Trump in 2016, I voted for him. He blocked me on Twitter back then because I would criticize him. I didn't love the guy. I didn't like him, but he wasn't Hillary. I figured he's a goof. Maybe he'll play a lot of golf, and maybe a couple good things might happen.
Interesting.
But I can
see that thinking.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I screwed up, guys. I didn't pay enough attention to what a horrible, evil guy he was back then. That's on me.
Well, even you say, Joe, I mean, anyone could go and separate the man from who's going to become now the president, right? And I guess, it doesn't have to be a nice guy to do a good job of the president, but
hit me. Look, man, string me up because I deserve to get popped. I'm on 200 stations all over the country back in 2016. I should have done better due diligence. I kind of laughed at Trump. I didn't pay enough attention to things about him. And if I had, I regret that. I would have voted for Hillary at the time.
You know what might have been different, Joe, if you'd grown up in New York like Billy and I did, because we were privy to his bullshit, in the early 80s. We knew he was full of shit back then, and we didn't pay him any attention.
No, because we always felt, I know about you, Ray, but I always felt that Trump was this guy, was all about himself, but he was harmless. You know what I mean?
Yes, right. Yes, harmless. That's what we thought. A harmless idiot. That's what we thought.
Well,
that's what I thought.
Hey, here's the other thing that why I supported Trump in 2016. I understood why people supported him. The people who supported Trump were my people. They were the same people who supported me. They were the same people listening to me on the radio every day. And at the time, they wanted a disruptor. I wanted a disruptor. I think our political system sucks. I think both parties suck. When Trump said stuff like, I'm going to burn it down and shake it up and blow it up and all of that, I understood that, and I kind of wanted some of that. Yeah, now, but he turned out to be evil.
Well, he never offered a viable solution. I'm gonna burn it up and turn it up. But what are you gonna do instead? Which we never found out,
because it was all bullshit.
Oh yeah, of course it was. It was playing to the base.
He was just a demagogue.
Yeah, playing to the base.
But he knew where the base was. And all these other people, like all the other Republicans, like Jeb and Marco Rubio and all these other twits, they didn't know how pissed off the base was. Trump,
right?
Somebody told Trump how pissed off the Republican base was, and right away, man, he tapped into it. He said, "I'm going to build a wall and keep black and brown people out," and they went crazy with that. They loved it.
Yeah. Which to me doesn't make any sense, because I can't imagine any white person looking at some field and going, "Yeah, I want to do that for a living. I want to go out there and pick whatever it is that they're picking for, for $2 a day." I mean, I don't understand. I never understood immigration. I do think, I do think we need to secure our borders, and if you want to immigrate to this country, you need to go through channels. You need to do what everybody else does to get in here. Okay. Some of our relatives came through Ellis Island, and you had to have your papers and the whole thing, and that's how it was. And that's the way every single immigrant that tries to get into this country needs to follow the same pattern. We don't just open the gates and say, "Oh yes, come on in, shake your hand," and all of a sudden we start handing you these social services. That's wrong.
If you want to come here, God bless you, but you have to come here legally. Period.
Thank you. I mean, why is this so hard to understand?
Yeah, I don't understand why that's even a debate, right? We know it is, but it's like...
Right. It's another one of those polar opposite debates that we're having, and we shouldn't be having this. It should be unanimous.
Because this is bad on the Democrats. They need to wake up to this, because the Democrats have never understood how regular people agree with what you and I just said.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. All right.
It's like, guys, it's like crime. I know you and I know the Democrats never really wanted to defund the police, but a few people on the left have said that, starting a couple of years ago, and the Democrats got tagged with it.
Yeah. Right. You can't defund the police. First of all, we need a police force. We need a better police force. We need to weed out the police officers that have their own agenda and that follow the ideals of white supremacists. We need to get rid of those people. We need more middle of the road people that know how to handle the public. And defund the police. No, it's ridiculous to even say those words.
Right, but you're right, Ray. But politically, a few leftist members of Congress have said that, and and then that's how the world works. Then it's on social media, and away you go.
You know what? I connect that with something you say when you're really, really angry. The last straw is the last black person that gunned down, and then you come out and say, "We need to defund the police." It's said out of anger. There's no rationale behind it. Nobody's really thought about it. It's just something you say when you're pissed off. And guess what? It's a catchphrase that just gained wings and took off. And you're right. The Democrats need to do something about that and specify that's not what we meant.
Bingo. Democrats and Biden, they need to push back against that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Agree.
100%.
Agree.
So,
will they? Who knows? This is Bill, and you're listening to Pull Yourself to Pieces, the podcast, hosted on Anchor. You never heard of Anchor? Anchor by Spotify is a podcast host platform, and it's an easy way to make a podcast. We picked Anchor because they have everything we needed all in one place. You can record and edit a podcast from your computer or even right from your phone. Then you can have your podcast distributed easily to multiple platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and much more. And did I mention it's free? That's right. Anchor is free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Mr. Walsh, you have been quite outspoken.
Shut up.
I followed you. I've followed you on Twitter before you, let's say, came over to the light, when you were still part of the dark side there. When you were you said on August 8th, 2012, you made some comments about the dangers of radical Islam. And you suggested that the danger was in nearby towns and that Muslims are trying to kill Americans every day. Now, you want to hear something funny? I agree with most of that. I read it and I read it again and I read it again and I'm like, wait a minute. I get the first part. I don't get the middle, but I get the last part. To say that they're in nearby towns, I don't know. I haven't seen too many Muslim people here in Central Virginia where I live. But yes, there is a big danger of radical Islam. And yes, I think that some Muslims are trying to kill Americans every week, but they give you shit for that.
Well,
Just for,
but yeah, that's an example of something I said where I got a little too provocative and I got
Sure.
over my skis. When
Sure.
I got elected, guys, man, I mean, back in 2010, we forget about it. I mean, the single greatest terrorist threat in the country was just that radical Islamists getting radicalized here and then committing acts of terror. So everybody was concerned about it. And and generally I said and tweeted proper stuff about it, but there were plenty of times where I got a little too excited and said some extreme stuff.
Yeah, and I get it. You want to you have something you want to say, and it's eating at you, and you got to get it out there, and you just say it. And I applaud that because I'm the same way. I have very little filter, and sometimes I just say what's on my mind, and just consequences be damned.
You know what's? Hey, by the way, Ray, you know what's funny about that, Ray? You would make a lousy politician.
Absolutely. Oh, you know it.
Because like I made a lousy politician because politicians have to have filters.
Yeah, right. And I have no filter.
You and I just say what we think.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly right.
I have too much of a filter.
Billy's very reserved. All right. So in June 19th, 2014, you were removed from your radio show for apparently using racial slurs. And I get it. What you did was you used racial slurs in context. You actually didn't come out and use them as a derogatory term to call people those names. But it's just amazing how the media likes to twist shit around and make it sound like that you came out and you were saying some bad words.
No, Ray, and that was my favorite radio show I ever did because I was trying to make a serious point. You guys remember that was like back in 2014. There was a big movement back then to change the name of the Washington Redskins. And I remember there were actually hearings up on Capitol Hill. And that day, all these people who said we should change the name of Redskins, they said Redskins is the new N-word. They kept saying that. So I went on the radio that night and I said, well, this kind of sounds like bull. Redskins is the new N-word? Here I am on the radio. I'm going to say the word Redskins. And look, I'm not in trouble. But if I say, and I actually said the N-word out loud on the radio.
Right.
Well, I got dumped and my general manager came into my studio. Wow. So I kept trying to make this point because there were I could say certain words making fun of certain groups, but I couldn't say other words. So I was trying to make a serious point, and to make it, I had to say that word. I eventually got sent home.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I totally get it. And look, here's the other thing. You and I and Billy grew up in a time where these slurs, I wouldn't even call them slurs because when we were growing up, we didn't think of them as slurs. They were just nicknames. To us, they were nicknames, okay? And that's what you just called another member of another race. I didn't.
I'm a dirty Mick. You're a dirty Wop. I mean, we got
we're Wops, we're greaseballs. There were the Micks, there were the Kikes, there were oh gosh, we had these names for each other, but I never said them thinking that I'm being derogatory here.
No,
and I never heard them used in that fashion. It's only as the years have progressed that we've attached this negative connotation to these words, where to me they were just nicknames. They were just nicknames to me. They didn't have much meaning.
Well, anyway. You're right. And look, Redskins is not equivalent to the N-word. Look at me, Ray. I'm not even saying the N-word, the literal word on your podcast. So we all have to acknowledge there's something different and unique about that word. That's why we can't say it.
Absolutely.
and but really you can't, even if you're just talking about that word right now, if you're a white guy, you can't say that word. Now, I don't agree with that, by the way, Ray. I think that's bull, but careers are ruined if somebody says that word out loud.
Sure.
Yeah. Without permission. I think you absolutely need some kind of permission. Like you've got to write to the NAACP, say, "Can I say this word?" And they're like, "No, you can't say that." But yeah, I hear what you're saying. All right, let's move on. January 14th, 2015. Well, following the Charlie Hebdo shooting,
Yeah.
you called for Islamists to be beheaded. No, I'm sorry, to behead reporters on CNN and MSNBC. Again, you must have been really pissed off. So for to refer you referred to them as appeasing cowards for not airing the cartoons published by the French magazine. Wow. I didn't know what to say or have an opinion when that first happened, but I thought that if a simple cartoon of some whacked out person is going to cause people to be killed or on a hit list, this is not good. So
this one, Ray,
go. It's all yours. Tell us what happened.
This one freaking pissed me off.
I bet.
So Islamic terrorists, you remember, killed
a
bunch of people at that satirical magazine, Charlie Hebdo, in France, because they had the courage to print cartoons of Muhammad.
Right.
And in covering the story here in America, CNN and all the other networks, when they covered the story, they purposely did not show the cartoons that these people had the courage in France to show. And I just thought it was so freaking hypocritical.
Sure.
And so I remember going on CNN. I got in a lot of trouble with CNN back then. I said, cut it out. You're appeasing these people. Have the courage. And by the way, if the terrorists come here, you're going to be first in line. You can't appease this stuff. Have courage. But I got in trouble for that one.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Look, you're passionate about what you think and what you believe. And you know what? It's hard to find people that passionate. Most people just shrug it off and say, oh, well, that's the way it is, and never squeak a word. So thank you. I just want to say on a personal note, until you did make this turnaround, it was me leaving you very nasty tweets in the very beginning. I am guilty of this very much. I would read what you said, and I'm like, that son of a bitch, and I would write something nasty back. And then the strangest thing happened. 2 years into Trump, you started tweeting these amazing things, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this a trap? Is he trying to get? That's what I thought. I thought it was a trap. I'm like, I'm not falling for this. So I'd read another one of yours, and another one, and all of a sudden, your authenticity just came through, and I thought, wow, here's a guy that's done a complete turnaround. I said, I have to give him credit, and from that point on, I was following you, and I would tweet after you. Wow. I was like, wow, Joe Walsh has really come over to our side, and we need to give him credit and follow him. So I just want to say you won me over when you started attacking the large orange turd, as I like to call him. So congratulations on that.
And look, one day when the three of us get together with some booze, we'll have a lengthier conversation. But look, I knew once Trump won in 2016, I turned to my wife and I said, my career is probably over, because I knew that I was eventually going to publicly oppose him, because when I started to pay attention to him, I didn't like what he was saying, and he was lying all the time. And I just knew it wasn't going to end up good for me career-wise. So I started to criticize Trump more and more after he got elected. I started to lose friends, supporters. I started to lose my radio show. I started to lose everything, but I said, screw it. I'm going to say what I believe. And then eventually I ended up primarying Donald Trump. But no, I couldn't live with myself, guys, if I if I became a Trump megahead. I just couldn't live with myself.
Yeah.
Well, that
Took a lot of
says a lot
courage.
about your
Yeah, it took a
character.
lot of
I mean, it
courage.
really does. And
you lost the show ultimately from that.
I lost my radio show. I lost pretty much any chance to ever run in the Republican Party again. I pretty much lost everything.
Yeah.
So,
all right, well, Billy's going to take it.
Hey,
Billy's
I
going
didn't lose
to
everything. I'm here with you two.
that's right.
Yes, and we're amazed because we can't get anybody on this show. We had Bad Brad Berkowitz on here and he was amazing. He's
Cool.
an amazing guy.
He was.
Cool.
I'm gonna hand it over to Bill because he's gonna take us up to speed on where we are now. So, Bill.
It's just because, now we're looking at about, the point where, 2019 or so. And I was made aware that you had run for presidential race in your decision was in 2019 to decide to do that.
It was the last week in August or the first week in September. I went on with George Stephanopoulos on ABC and I announced I'm going to challenge Trump for the Republican nomination.
Yeah. And
what a crazy thing to do. Hey, and by the way, guys, I didn't want to do it. I wrote an op-ed in the New York Times about 4 months before that, and I pleaded with like Mitt Romney or John Kasich, somebody have the balls to challenge Trump in the Republican Party, but nobody would. So I said, screw it, I'm going to do it, knowing that I didn't have much of a chance.
Now, you wrote a book. I'll save the title right now, is F Silence. Okay. And it's pretty much, I've started to read a big chunk of the book, about probably at least half of the book so far. And it's a very interesting read, by the way. And now this book comes out in 2020. So was the thought of this book in your mind when you were planning that run of possible running in or was this the book more of an outcome of things didn't go so well in that running and there was a small turnout and you decided to write the book, or was it kind of concurrent?
That's a great question. That's a question like nobody's asked me before. So I started to plan and develop the book mid that summer because I was incensed with what a lawless criminal dictator this guy was. Yeah. I mean, I got a lot of flaws, but I love America and I love democracy and I love our Constitution. And this guy was abusing our Constitution every day. So I started to plot out and write the book midsummer. And then on a separate track, again, I didn't think I was going to run for president. I thought I could get somebody to step up. Nobody did. So I ran, and then about a month into that campaign, in fact, about 3 weeks after I got in, Trump and the Republican Party literally canceled 22 primaries all over the country.
Right.
So at that point, I thought, oh my God, this sucks. I have no prayer.
Right.
So I kept campaigning right through the Iowa caucuses, and then finished the book shortly thereafter, and it came out that spring.
It doesn't it almost seem like it's legal, right? I mean, it's legal to do that, to cancel.
Yes.
Wow, it's just
Like you couldn't cancel a general election, but each party runs their primaries. So the Republican Party in Minnesota said, we don't want anybody challenging our dear leader. We just won't have an election. And that's what they did in 22 states. Look, I've called the party. I went on CNN when I got out of the presidential race in February of 20. I went on CNN and I said, I'm formally leaving the Republican Party. That was 2 years ago. Yeah. And I said, it's because it's a cult and I don't want to belong to a cult. Right. I mean, they literally canceled elections to protect their cult leader.
Right. You didn't change your conservative opinions. You didn't change your opinions on certain policies, but the Republican Party has changed so much that you find yourself, and you called yourself an independent. And you still to this day is now considering yourself independent?
I'm still kind of I'm homeless. I'm still hanging out there in independent land. I'm not a Republican. I don't think I'll ever be again.
Yeah.
A lot of people have asked me, guys. No, I mean I'll be honest, to join the Democratic Party. I think I'm probably too conservative for the Democrats. So I don't really have a home right now.
I can understand that.
How would you? I'm curious. How in what ways are you conservative? I'm just curious.
That's a great question. I'm very pro-gun, very pro-Second Amendment. I am pro-life.
I back up. You're going too fast. All right, let's go back. Let's start with you're going too fast for my little brain. Listen. All right. So pro-gun. You're for the Second Amendment.
Very pro-Second Amendment. Yeah.
All right. What's your stand on assault rifles? Do you think they should be banned, or you think anybody can just walk into a Walmart and grab one?
I think I love you, my good friend. I mean that. I don't think there's any. I think every gun is an assault weapon. Any gun you use, you can use for good or bad. So I don't buy that whole assault weapon crap. Most guns right now, and you guys probably know this, even handguns are semi-automatic. So
I have one. I have a Glock. I have a Glock 17.
Yeah. So, and when we talk about, like, I got an AR-15 too, they're semi-automatic, short or long. They're all the same thing. They can be used for good or bad. So I'm not big on banning certain guns.
Interesting.
But I am big, Ray, where you and I maybe could find some common ground is, look, I think we got to do whatever we can to make sure somebody who shouldn't have a gun doesn't have a gun.
Absolutely.
I'm all about universal background checks. Hell yeah.
Oh my gosh, you would be
Shouldn't even be a
amazed at
debate.
how you would be amazed, Joe, at how easy it was for me to get a gun permit. It was ridiculously easy.
Wait. What state?
Virginia. I mean, the questions that they asked me, I could have lied on every single question. No, but I told the truth. And they gave, 30 minutes later, quick background check, and I have a gun permit. And now,
I don't have a problem with that, Ray. But when you walk in Virginia to buy a gun, I don't think it should be a super complicated process. But your name, Ray, should be tied into every other data list we've got.
Absolutely.
That DHS has, and law enforcement, and whether you went after your ex-wife, or all these things.
There you go. Absolutely. I completely agree.
And those red flags need to come up instantly.
Right. And stop that sale and stop that license from being issued. Absolutely. Okay. We've agreed on that. All right. What's the next thing? What makes you a conservative?
Well, forget about abortion, because abortion can never be solved. So I am pro-life, but I don't even want to talk about that one.
Sure. All right.
Free, all this bull crap about. Look, I believe in limited government. I don't believe in a lot of government.
Bravo.
I think you go to college and you incur like $200,000 in student loans. I'm sorry, I love you. You got to pay those back. I don't believe in free college tuition. Agreed. I don't believe in forgiving people's student loans. I'd love my mortgage forgiven. Come on.
Yeah. No, I don't. Look, teachers go to school. They pay to get that teaching certificate. They teach students. Students go there to learn so they can get a good job. Why should that be free? I'm sorry. I don't think I look, as it is, social services. And what I mean by that is we all pay into first grade through 12. That's why kids can go to school for free. It comes out of our taxes. But look, if you want to move further from that and you decide to go to college, I don't care if it's for 2 years or 4 years, community college or Harvard, right? You should have to pay. It shouldn't be free. Granted, I don't think it should cost. I don't think it should be as astronomical as it is, but I think it should be affordable. And yes, you should have to pay.
And by the way,
Ray, free ride.
By the way, not everybody needs to go to college. Like we're all the same age. Where like everybody was like, it was the thing you had to do. You don't have to go to college to pursue your dreams and have a great life.
True. I didn't go to college. I went right to work.
Bingo.
I went right to work. Billy went to college for 2 years, and that was that for him.
Yep.
Our sister didn't go to college. Very few people I went to school with, in Brentwood, Long Island, when I graduated in 76, went off to college. it was not something that everybody thought to do. It was just was the decision you made.
A few years later, it became a lot more popular during my time. So I just
here's the issue. We have problems in this country. Democrats tend to look toward government, especially the federal government, in a big way to solve those problems. That's not my philosophy. I believe in government, but I don't want government doing things that all the rest of us can do. So I vote against a lot of big government programs that Democrats like.
I get it, and I agree. I like government out of a lot of our lives.
You sound more conservative than me.
Again, like I said, I am a liberal with some very conservative views. Like, I am all for saying goodbye to welfare. I don't think welfare should be a thing anymore. I think it needs to be abandoned. I don't think there should be such a thing as welfare. I do think, though, we still need Social Security for those of us that don't have a retirement plan. And here's the thing. I've been paying into that since I'm 12.
Yeah,
right.
And I don't want it taken away because that's my money. That's money that I put away for it.
Look at it.
And I don't want it taken away.
Hey,
and
Ray,
I don't
you know what you are? You and I are probably a lot alike. I think I would bet that socially you're really liberal and open-minded and tolerant. Like, anybody can marry anybody. I don't care. You can identify whatever you want.
There you go.
But fiscally and economically, you might be a little more conservative. I make money. Don't overtax me.
I am exactly right. I am fiscally conservative. Absolutely.
Look at that. We're brothers. Billy, the three of us are brothers.
Seriously, when it comes to the abortion thing, I just have my credo has always been, as a man, I just can't tell a woman what she can do with her body. If you want to get into the discussion about it, we can go around for hours on this.
Yeah.
But it's either or, okay? And there's no middle ground with this abortion issue. It's either or. There's no way you can compromise on this. You can't have a half a kid. You can't pull like half a child out and go, well, she only gave birth to half.
Right.
So we won't even talk about that one. Again, it's a matter of personal, what your personal preferences are. But yeah, I'm, and here's the other thing, this idea that healthcare is a right.
No.
Yes, everybody has a right to healthcare, but there's no way healthcare should be free. I don't believe in free healthcare. I believe you should be able to pay for it, but you should be able to pay for it. It shouldn't be through the roof, okay? And if for some reason somebody comes up with this great idea on how to collect a large amount of money from everybody, but not a lot, I mean, a little, like everybody puts in just a little bit, and we have this big fund that's going to help pay for your knee replacement or your hip replacement. That's wonderful. But free healthcare, I don't believe in it. I don't think I don't see it. I think you have to pay something, but it shouldn't be the type of thing where it bankrupts you if you go in to have a spleen removed.
It doesn't help though that the cost of medical services,
is through the roof.
It's past the roof.
It's through the roof.
It's blew the roof off.
Most people can't afford to get sick.
No,
and I'm one of them.
Somehow we got to get back to a place where government should help take care of those people who can't take care of themselves. But the rest of us got to be responsible for our own lives. And
well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've moved into a place where government's taking care of people that, like, you're right, Ray. We should treat healthcare like we do auto insurance. When I go put gas in my car or change the oil or get new tires, I don't use automobile insurance. Health insurance should be used for like catastrophic situations.
Bingo. There you have it. That's it. That's exactly right.
Wow. That's
well, this is a really boring conversation because we agree on everything.
Well, what were you expecting?
Let's get back to some of the points. Like I said, I've been reading.
How are we doing on time? How you doing on time, Joe?
Oh,
hang with us.
I will give you no more than 15 more minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
We were talking about your book, and I've some things that have stuck out and what I've read so far. Really interesting how you talked about the term you used, alternative facts. Ray, I've had this problem for a long time with
You've had lots of problems for a long time.
But listen, keeping up with the rapid fire media and the news that comes through, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
It's hard to keep up with it, so then it becomes hard to remember what's happened and what you've already forgotten.
Yeah,
right. And I think you mentioned it also too, Joe. There's such this, like, on a daily basis, there would be, things that Trump would say that would be a lot in just a short little tweet, but it would have repercussions in terms that it could become an article, it become a part of the cover on the news. And I hate to say it, within a week later, if maybe less, I've already forgotten about that one.
Billy, we became numb to how bad Trump was, because every freaking day he'd throw 3,900 pieces of crap against the wall. And if he ever had a strategy, I think that was it, to just totally throw crap against the wall. But he lied. You guys knew this about him. I didn't know this about him till after he won.
I like how you talked in the book, how you said that the power of the lie, and
he lies as he breathes.
Right, I mean, but the power of the lie, I think that's how you put it, and it made me even think about it. It's like, wow, that's what it is. It's just like you always hear. It's like the more, and it's just, and you mentioned it, but that's just what happens in dictatorships and a lot of other countries is constantly telling that same lie. You start to get a lot of people to believe it, and I'm like, wow, that's exactly.
Well, there's great power, and my favorite story, and it's my most depressing story, is 3 or 4 days before the Iowa caucus, when I was running against Trump. Trump had a rally in Des Moines, and I went to Trump's rally to campaign against him, and I campaigned with everybody standing in line to go into Trump's rally. And no lie, Ray and Bill, no lie at all. I asked 40 people in line a simple question. Has Donald Trump ever told a lie? And I swear to God, guys, all 40 of them said no.
Wow.
All 40. I went to sleep that night, and that was probably the lowest I've ever felt.
Yeah, that's a harsh reality.
Oh,
that's a real harsh reality, especially if you're not prone to telling lies and you're a champion of the truth. Yeah, that's a harsh reality.
It comes back to that alternative facts things to me.
Yeah.
Where, well, what's said as the lie is disguised, or even right out there said as, this is, the alternative facts, not the facts as you know it. It's powerful. That's what happens.
Well, and Bill, to that point, guys, look, you guys know, Ray and Bill, I did a lot to help divide the country the last 10 years. So, like, my mission in life now is to try to heal that divide. And what I do, because
Are you hopeful?
No. I'm a dark Irishman. I think we're screwed. But
no, I think you're right, Joe. I have to agree with Joe. I think we're screwed.
I think we're screwed.
I really do.
I kind of agree with you guys too, but I don't want to. I
know. Here's a little kind of a hope I got. So I still engage with Trump supporters, hundreds of them every day, because I come from their world.
Sure.
And every week, I'm able to help get some of them out of the Trump cult. And the way you do it is you get them to realize they've been lied to. And once they hit that point, then they're ready to be free of Trump.
But you make some great points of it. That whole thing you talk about in the book, the crush list, and the shit list.
But I cannot, and I do not. I don't save thousands a week. I save a few every week, because most of these folks are unreachable.
Yeah, you do what you can. It would be like trying to talk an evangelical out of believing in God.
Yeah.
So it's a tough argument you've got to make. But hey, look again. All I can say is thank you for your support. I know you're in the middle, but we consider you part of our side if you're trying to turn people away from that Trump cult. So,
Well, that's
whether you
Ray.
know it or not.
You classify as Democrat. I classify as independent with a
Yeah.
slight lean towards the left. That is
I'm
me.
not a Democrat. No.
Yeah.
I'm not a Democrat. I'm a liberal that has some conservative ideas.
Okay.
That's me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
yeah,
me.
that's what it is. That's one of my biggest problems is that
Yeah.
things aren't black and white. Right,
Yeah.
Ray,
No.
you and I just talked about this in our last show about the whole thing with Chris Rock and Will Smith.
Yeah.
Things aren't
Right.
black and white.
No.
There's lines that are
there's a
drawn,
lot of gray.
and people
Well,
gray.
but bullcrap. There was a black and white to that. You never physically assault a comedian.
Oh,
never.
Yes, and that's where Ray and I didn't exactly agree.
Even Carrot
Joe's
Top,
on my side, Ray.
even Carrot Top. You can't smack Carrot Top.
Never.
Oh man, you guys are tough.
It was wrong.
We've got 8 minutes left, and we need to wrap up the show. And I think Joe is going to hopefully do a promotion for us, so we need to get that going.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start to wrap things up. The book that was written, it was written 2 years ago, and since then we've had quite an eventful 2 years. Besides, living with COVID, we've also had Trump loss, and then
now Ukraine.
Well, before that, we had the January 6th riot. And then we had
the riot.
And
no, that wasn't a riot, Bill. Those were sightseers.
Right. How do you feel about the possibility? I think I know the answer to this. That Trump might try to run again in 2024.
Automatic. Here's what I know, guys. If Trump runs again, and I think he will, no Republican will challenge him. He will win the nomination unchallenged. And if the Democrats don't get their act together, there's a 50-50 shot he's president again.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but you're right. Yeah.
It's so honest and true, and I totally believe that too. And
I like Biden. He's 110 years old. Come on.
Yeah, but again, I really would have liked to see somebody a little bit younger, a little bit more progressive.
Hell yeah.
With some new ideas in there.
Well, because careful on the
but
progressive
look, it was
part.
the best we had at the time. So,
Exactly.
That was it. The best we had at the time.
Yes.
We need a shakeup. We need someone. Joe, run independent, and we'll.
Well, here's
vote
the thing,
for you.
Bill. You nailed it. Every time I go on CNN or MSNBC, this is what I say: Democrats, wake the F up. You guys need a fighter. I need a street fighter. I need somebody tough on the Democratic side.
Yes,
you're right.
Not somebody who drinks
right.
wine. I need somebody who drinks tequila or beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because the Democrats don't have that. Who is it? I like Biden, but he's too old for that role.
Agree.
Yep.
It's not Kamala. It's not Pete Buttigieg. Come on.
No.
You need somebody tough, smart, and who's evenly keeled. That's what we need. And look, I'm on Twitter all the time talking about how the Democrats need to take the gloves off and kick some ass.
Yeah.
I'm constantly saying that all the time.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect advice.
Yep.
And there we go.
Well, Joe, it has been a real pleasure having you on the show. We've really enjoyed having you, and it's been an insight.
You guys are great.
It's been a real insight, and I hope our 3 listeners enjoyed it as much. Hopefully, maybe we'll have 4 by tomorrow.
I'll help you promote it. Damn it!
Thanks. Today's the 3rd, so Wednesday is the 6th. So the 13th, April 13th, this show will air.
Cool.
So hopefully everyone will be listening, and we can only hope.
Yes, that is true.
Bill, would you like to say goodbye?
I would like to say goodbye. I don't want to say goodbye. But,
No.
Hey guys, thank you. I mean it. Thanks for thinking of me, and I will most certainly help you promote this.
Joe, it was a pleasure having
you so
you here.
much.
And
Really?
just stick around as we end the show for a second.
Yep.
I'm going to just close it up for this week. Another episode of Pull Yourself to Pieces. We will be here next week. I don't know what our plan is for the show, Ray, but I'll be here.
I'll be here.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And everybody, be good to each other out there.
Yeah, same here. Please check out our website, pullyourselftopieces.com.
That's right.
And you can subscribe to the show in Google and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Castbox, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube, or via RSS, so you'll never miss an episode.
And if you enjoy our show, don't forget to give us a high rating.
And remember to tell your friends about the show.
Thanks for listening to our show, and thank you to freesounds.org and Gottlieb, Audio Mirage, Plasterbrain, Cognito Perceptu, FK Prod, Mirage Taser, Shadow Wisp, D-Boss, Viku Seru, Intra Environmental Sound Project, Julian Nicholas, Carmelo Mike, G Kill Hour, 140178 Sound, CMU Sound Design, Alan Mchi, Der Super Anton, Eric H2000, Bulbastray, FK Phantom, Ultra Dust, Ada Records, Stuart Colborn, Debroid, Cubidup, GJ, Syntax Seed, Inspector J, Astounded, Madge 061785, Just Invoke, Short Record, Lorenzo Sue, and I'm Mackenzie. CreativeCommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/legal code.